Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Big, Beautiful Badasses. I have such a fun guest on today, but before we get to that, y'all know I am obsessed with coffee. It's one of my obsessions, just not gonna lie. But if you want to help support what I am doing, help support this broadcast, go over to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. Now, there you're going to have the option just to do one-time support, or you could do a membership. Membership is literally $5 a month. That is cheaper than Starbucks, y'all. And with that membership, you are going to have access to member-only content. You're going to find out about new things that I have coming up. You're going to have access to my digital downloads, which as a member, those are free. That is my gift to you. But you can also purchase them. A lot of them are just $2, super cheap. I try to do that for you to help you because things are expensive, y'all. Eggs are $5 a month. You could be a member cheaper than you could buy a dozen eggs nowadays. Just saying. Y'all go over to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. Check out what I have over there and help support your girl. Now, I am so excited to welcome the mind shifter herself, Miss Fatima Bey. Everybody, y'all say hello.
Hello,
How are
everyone.
you today?
I'm awesome.
Good. Well, before we get started, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Fatima Bey, the mind shifter. I am actually a dual entrepreneur. So that means I have two businesses. My first business is My Abishai. I make and design wedding gowns. I make and design wedding gowns. I specialize in heirloom wedding gowns. I do alterations on them, and I've been in the bridal industry for over 20 years now. And then my second business is Fatima Bey, the mind shifter. So I'm a mind shift coach. I have a podcast myself. I write for a magazine. I do public speaking. I do individual coaching and coaching sessions. And then I speak at high schools and do workshops as well.
Nice. Very nice. Now, the key thing that you mentioned there, especially for plus size women, is bridal.
Oh yeah.
So let's kind of go into that because it is hard enough to find clothing that fits right and is flattering and does what you want it to do as a plus size woman. But then you go into the bridal industry. And oh my God, trying to walk into a bridal store as a plus size woman and find something that fits you
Mm-hmm.
is damn near impossible.
Well, you do have your traditional. There's your traditional wedding, wedding store, wedding shop, bridal salon, and then there is your places like Kleinsfeld and David's Bridal. Those are two different categories, really. Um, Traditionally, as a plus size woman, you could look at some pretty dresses and try nothing on, or
Yep.
put on something that only fits your thigh and try to guess what it'll look like on you, and then
Right?
put $1,000 down on it. And traditionally, that's been the case. I will say the good thing is that David's Bridal has made a giant difference in the industry. In that, and I'm not a spokesperson for David's Bridal. I did work there for 10 years, which is why I work in the bridal industry now. But I was a part. I was literally a part of the change that David's Bridal started maybe 15 years ago at this point, 10, 15 years ago, when they started having plus size wedding gowns in the shop that you could actually try on.
And I will give David's Bridal some credit because I've actually been there. I considered David's Bridal when I got married. It was my second. Yes, I'm on my third. Finally met the right guy. But marriage number two, I went to David's Bridal to try on gowns. And at that time, I was a size 26, 28.
Mm.
And going in, they had dresses that I could pull up, but they couldn't close in the back. So I wasn't able
Yeah.
to get the true
Look.
look of how
Yeah.
it was going to fit me. And it was just, I remember leaving just feeling so bad about myself.
Oh,
I
absolutely. Yeah.
felt horrible. I questioned if I should even wear a wedding dress
Mm.
because I thought I was just going to look hideous in anything I tried on.
And this is why I love what I do, because I get to make a difference in that. So I'm not a bridal shop. I'm the seamstress that you come to after you buy the dress. So I'm not there in the dress buying process. But many of my brides do actually come to me feeling that way because they were made to feel that way in the shop. And sometimes it's because there's many reasons. Sometimes it's how they were treated, but
Mhm.
sometimes the shop owners and the workers weren't treating them any different. But you still send a message when you say you're not good enough for us to have enough in the store for you to try on.
Exactly. And
That just makes you feel like shit.
it does.
And so I was a part of when David's Bridal started bringing out the plus sizes, and they really did pioneer that for the industry. I can definitely say that because I was a part of it. I literally did the measurements on people and was part of surveying women to uh, to get the cuts, because part of the problem, and it's still a problem in other parts of the industry, just because you make something that's built for Barbie bigger doesn't make it plus size.
Right?
That's just ridiculous. So the cut has to be cut for a plus size woman and not just cut for a Mrs. and expanded. You will find that a lot in clothing, and not just wedding gowns, in clothing in general. And that's why you have to pay attention if it says women's or not. And most women don't know what the W stands for. So let me tell you what W stands for. It stands for women, not wide. Because sometimes people really believe that.
Well,
Um,
I think that honestly comes from shoes because I'm going to admit
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can
I
see
got
that.
fat feet. And so I always had to buy wide shoes.
Hmm.
So, you've got your 10s, your 10W. So that is probably where that common misnomer comes from is we've been programmed to buy, for fat feet, we had to buy wide shoes. So
But
then when
we're
you
also
get that,
programmed to see ourselves as less than attractive,
yeah.
traditionally speaking. So wide makes more sense. But the W stands for women. So if you're listening right now, you see, oh, this is a size 18. But if it's a size 18 without the W, it's an anorexic cut made bigger. Like that's what I call it, because that's what it's cut for skinny people but made
Yeah.
bigger. And I don't know about you, but I ain't built like that. So
Oh, girl, no.
you've got to you got to pay attention to stuff like that. But I will say though, we still have a ways to go within the industry. I had a bride in the other day, and she actually went to, and I don't recall the name of the shop, somewhere in New Jersey, is in existence an actual shop that specifically targets plus size brides. So you can go in and try everything on. So you might want to contact them and find out who they are. I will give you the information later because I don't recall the name. I don't have it with me right now, but I do have it in the shop. Um, and I love that concept. But I can tell you, as a seamstress, well, first of all, for my business, I only handle customers one at a time. That's always been my business model and it always will be. I work by appointment only. I do not have a storefront. I'm in a professional building, but you don't see my business. And I that's intentional for me. That's very intentional. I do not want the disruption of, can you hem my pants while I'm in the middle of dealing with a bride?
Yeah,
So
no. And
so
actually, I think I found the place that you are talking about.
is it Young something?
Brides by Young.
Okay, that's it. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Proud to be
So
the largest size inclusive curvy bridal boutique in the world.
yes, and I learned about it from a bride. I didn't know that they existed, and I think it's a beautiful concept.
Looks like
Unfortunately,
they
they're
have
nowhere
three
near me.
locations.
Huh?
They have three locations.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They're in
Um,
Indianapolis, Rochelle Park, New Jersey, and Schaumburg, Illinois.
okay, so it was Rochelle Park, New Jersey, which is where she got hers from. But I'd heard about them, but didn't really know a lot about them. But getting one from a bride made me pay a little bit more attention. But so that's great that we have that now. We didn't have that years ago.
No,
And
no,
and even now, if you go into your average bridal shop, you're not going to get um you're not going to get more than two or three dresses that you can actually put on. There'll be 100 you can order from, but only
Mhm.
two or three dresses you can put on, which to me is foolish. And I'll tell you why. The average female size in America, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, part of the country again, blah, 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 all those details, regardless of all the other demographics, the average female in America is a size 16 to 18.
Say it, preach.
So, and I'm saying this not as a person who just thinks it, but as someone who works in the industry and knows what I'm talking about. The average woman is a size 16 to 18. So if you're listening right now, you have a boutique or a shop, I'm sorry, but you are not that smart if you don't get those sizes in. If
Mhm.
you have a bunch of size sixes in, you're leaving out half of society and you're leaving out a whole bunch of money. And that's just not smart.
No, it really isn't. And when it comes down to it, that 16, 18 is plus size. That is plus size in every standard.
Yep.
So if the average female is plus size, then why are there so many industries, not just clothing industries, travel, restaurants, everything? Why are we shutting down plus size customers?
Because they're still stuck in yesterday. The unfortunate thing is it takes a while for industries, not just individual businesses, but for an industry to change. That does not happen. That doesn't happen overnight.
Oh,
I
I know.
will say, as a plus size woman, I'm happy to see some of the changes I've seen over the past 10 years. One of my first retail management was my background before I even worked at the bridal shop.
That
And
retail
one
jam.
one of my first uh, one of my first jobs in retail, the first time I got promoted as a manager actually, was in a plus size clothing store. And I was plus size. I've been plus size all my life. And it really made me pay attention to the industry a little bit more. And I have paid attention to it ever since. And when I was in the bridal shop, I sometimes would get some of the other bridal consultants that would have their customers work with me because they were plus size and I could say stuff to them that their little skinny behinds couldn't say.
Oh,
And
right.
I'm a very matter of fact, tell it like it is, keep it real, transparent kind of person anyway. So that always helped me in sales. It helped me a lot in sales. Um, but I was for me as a business owner, as a seamstress, and someone who works with brides in particular, regardless of size, it's important to me to make my brides feel beautiful. I want them to walk down the aisle feeling like, damn, I look good. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, that's not gonna be victorious with every bride because everybody's not easily convinced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do the best I can um, to make my brides feel like they really look good. And I don't just want them to feel like they look good. I want them to actually look good. And sometimes they can look freaking amazing. Like we'll all look at them like, wow, she looks beautiful. But she feels fat and ugly and stupid, and her stomach's too big, and her hips aren't in the right place. Her breasts are too small, they're too high, blah, 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 blah.
Because
Then I
that's what society has told them.
That's what society has told us, and sometimes that's what family has told us.
Yeah.
There's many
Yeah.
different reasons. Society is a big part of it, but sometimes people have individual struggles, individual pressures and
Mhm.
influences, and it's important to note that as well. And so when I work with my brides, I really want to make sure that they feel that way. And I remember this one bride, she literally made me cry, and She's still like sings my praises on social media to this day. If I make a post right now, she'll comment on it.
Nice.
she she was about a size 26 back then. This was a few years ago. And you could tell that she just kind of felt like an Oompa Loompa. Really sweet girl. She's just a lot of fun. She's a smart ass like me, so we got along great. um, but I don't remember what was saying to her, but at the end of the day, she gave me a nice review. But one of the things she said was that she really wasn't feeling that great about herself, and because of dealing with me, she she really felt more comfortable in her own skin on her wedding day. That to me means everything. That to me means everything, because that's an important day. It's a very
Yeah.
emotional day for all of us. And so if I can do anything to make that day amazing, then hey, I'm happy to do it. And my portion that I can do in that is mind shifting you during your fitting. Because that's what I do.
I
Shh,
love
shh,
that.
don't tell anybody, it's a secret. But I actually do that, and I enjoy doing that. And if you're out there right now and you're a plus size woman, just know that you are not alone. You're not the only plus size woman. There are plenty. There really are, because this is coming from an expert who's done this for over 20 years. There really are a lot of plus size women out there who look freaking amazing on their
Yep.
wedding days. You do not have to look like Skinny Minnie on your wedding day. There's nothing wrong with Skinny Minnie. She's beautiful too. But don't compare yourself to her, because you ain't her. And don't compare
Oh yeah.
yourself to her. Don't compare yourself to her when you're looking at how you look in your wedding gown. Because he or she, whoever's marrying you, they ain't marrying a model. They're marrying you.
Yeah.
And that's the more important thing than just what you look like. And to be honest with you, there's more guys that like us than don't anyway. I like the way I've had a couple of guys say this to me. Bones are for dogs. I like meat on my plate.
Because that is so true. Oh, and we've got a little bit of freezing up
Yep.
going
Oh,
on.
there we
I
go.
don't know why. Okay, we're back. So, real quick, because I want other women to be able to get a hold of you, if somebody needs help with their wedding dress, how can they reach you?
Well, for me and my business, I do need to physically have you in my presence. So
Okay.
I don't do online over the air. I don't do online with measurements, because I believe in delivering quality. I will not do that. I need to see you in person. I need to fit you in person and make sure everything is good and see it for myself. Make sure it fits, and if there's a problem, we can fix it right away. So I only do in person appointments. I will say though, I do have people that travel up to me from like 4 hours away.
Okay.
So
And
if you're willing to drive to me, I'm in Gloversville, New York,
okay.
which is in upstate New York. And my website is my Abishai. M as in Mary, Y, A, B as in boy, I, S as in Sam, HAI.com. I'm assuming
Okay.
that we'll add this to the show notes, correct?
I'm actually going to have you spell that out again real quick
Okay.
because my typewriter froze.
MYABISHAI.com. And honestly, if you Google my name, you'll still find it too. If you Google my name, you actually will find me. Um, very easily. So that's the name of my website, and I work by appointment only. Um, and I just give me a call. You can either email me or give me a call. I don't allow people to make appointments without talking to me online.
Completely understand that.
I very much believe in the in-person thing, and in-person customer service, but also I like to have conversations with my brides, and so they know what to expect, and I know what I'm getting, at least to a certain degree,
Yeah.
and make sure that communication is clear. So I don't do robot communications. I only do human communications.
I love that. Well, you
I don't
guys,
plan on changing that.
that is down at the bottom of the screen right now. Screenshot it, write it down, type it in your phone or your computer. That way you can set an appointment and go and see Fatima and let her help you make your wedding day everything that you want it to be and more. Because you deserve to feel beautiful every day, but especially on
Especially
your
wedding
wedding
day.
day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because that is a day that you will remember for the entirety of your marriage and beyond. I mean, if
And
I'm
pictures.
putting myself there, I'm on my third marriage. But I remember all three. Only one of them was good, but I still remember all three. And that's something that'll stick with you for the rest of your life.
And if I could add to that, your pictures are forever. Even if you don't come to me, please don't go to a dry cleaner who doesn't know how to do, who doesn't usually do wedding gowns. Please do not do that to yourself. I get the fixums all the time because people went to somebody who who doesn't specialize like I do in specifically working on wedding gowns and special occasion dresses. Please don't do that to yourself. Your wedding day is important. Your pictures are forever, and you want to look good in them.
Yes, you do. You do. And I was lucky, I will say, with my current marriage. I had my dress hand custom made. I found the pattern that I wanted. My husband's best friend happened to be a seamstress,
Oh,
and
okay.
he pretty much said, "You pay for the material, I will do the work as my wedding gift to
Oh,
you."
that is a gift because that's a lot of work.
And I didn't go for a traditional gown.
Okay.
I did charcoal gray.
Okay.
My husband wore charcoal gray, purple, and black. Those were our colors.
Okay.
And so I had a charcoal gray, floor length, strapless gown, but then it had this um, attached belt that worked as a wrap to put on your shoulders as well.
Mm,
And I absolutely loved it. I loved how I looked in it. I loved the pictures.
that's what matters.
I remember when she brought it up because she lived about 100 miles from me. And so she was coming into town, brought it with me for me to try it on and make sure it fit everywhere. And oh, when I tried it on, because she had taken all my measurements before, it was a little loose in the top, but I was like, you know what? That's why I have these little straps that I can hold it up if I need to. But what I also love about it is, especially where I live now, because back in Colorado Springs, there weren't a whole lot of opportunities to wear a floor length gown.
Mm.
But I now live in Las Vegas. I can wear a floor length gown to the Bellagio in a heartbeat.
Or to the grocery store.
Or to the grocery store. And I've thought about, for our anniversary, going to the Bellagio Conservatory and having a photo session. I get to do fun stuff like that. And I love that.
I like that we live in a society now that's gotten better with dealing with us as plus size women,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're not as shunned. Like I said, we haven't arrived. There's still more work to do in that area, but
Yes,
we
very.
but we have progressed. We have progressed. We have gotten better, and I'm grateful for that. So we can talk about the problems all day long, but I also like to focus on the positive too, or at
Oh,
least point it out. The fact that we have gotten further along than we've gotten. Um, and so I am grateful for that. And I also want to mention, if you are, especially as a plus size woman, if you're looking to have your wedding gown custom made, I do specialize in that.
I love that. I love that. And I totally agree. There are so many areas where there have been such vast improvements.
Hmm.
And honestly, living in Vegas, I see it more because when I lived in Colorado Springs, I still dealt with a hell of a lot of stigmas.
Yeah.
Whereas, living here in Vegas, and I think it's because there's such an influx of people that come through here constantly.
You're right.
It's the city that really never sleeps. I mean, but I can go anywhere I have yet in Vegas to find a spot that is not accommodating for size, or that I could walk down Fremont Street, or I ain't walking down Fremont Street and wearing oxygen. I'm doing a motorized cart. But even that, I'm not the only one. There are so many places where you have to use a mobility device or whatever, fat or skinny. It doesn't matter your size. You're having to use a mobility device. But especially as a plus size person, when you have to do that, there is shame that goes with that. But I love here in Vegas, we out there having races. I have four where we've got like four plus size people on those little scooters. We're all like waving at each other, It becomes a community. And I'm here for it. I am so here for it.
Well, I'm glad that that's like that out there. I had no idea because I haven't been to Vegas yet.
Well, girl, if you come, I will show you Vegas. More than the strip, because there's a whole nother city aside from the strip.
Oh, I believe you. I've heard that.
There is so much out here. But that's another conversation. I do want to thank you though for coming on and having this conversation, especially about, wedding gowns and plus size women. I think it is so incredibly important for women to know that there is options for them when it comes to purchasing a wedding gown, having a wedding gown altered or customized. And I think it's important for women to know that regardless of their size, it doesn't matter if you're a size 2, a size 22, a size 32. You deserve to feel beautiful on your wedding day.
Yep.
Every woman deserves that. And if someone tells you that you don't, they're lying and they need to go because they're not serving you. That's just my personal take on it.
Mhm.
Not everybody will agree with that take, but it's my take.
Absolutely. I agree. Everyone deserves to feel beautiful on their wedding day. And there are people around who will tell you that you don't deserve that. They're not going to say it in those words. They may say it through action.
Yeah.
And you might want to reconsider how much you need to have them around you. Just saying.
Well, I do have one final question for you, love, before we close this for the day. And it has absolutely nothing to do with our conversation.
Okay. I didn't do it. It was somebody else who looked like me. What
If
is it?
you could pick any animal as your spirit animal, as the animal you most identify with, what animal is it and why?
Lioness. That's easy. I'm a Leo. I'm a lion. But the character of a lioness is she's the most fierce mother in the whole animal kingdom. And that's me. I am very kind and very sweet, very caring, very loving. I will hug you and cry with you. I will give you the shirt off my back. But I will, if you touch one of my kids, I will rip your neck off.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of my kids, teenagers, young women, and children, those are my kids. And the people around me that I love. I'm very, very protective of them, which is why I'm an anti human trafficking advocate. We didn't plan on talking about that part, but I'm really big into anti human trafficking. And everything I do, I try to do what I can from where I am in an effort to combat it or help the victims.
I
So,
love that.
I'm also a business with a cause since we brought it up. Both of my businesses and any business I have in the future will be a business with a cause. So right now I donate to an organization that helps orphans and human trafficking victims around the world.
I love that.
And that's a big part of me. So when you ask me that immediately, I'm like, oh, lioness, because I got some teeth. They don't come out unless it's necessary, but if it's necessary, I'm a fighter.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I That would apply to certain areas of my life. You hurt my child, my grandbaby. Oh,
You're just gonna go missing. That's all.
I love my daughter dearly. You hurt my grandbaby. Ooh, Nana will lose it.
Yeah,
Nana loves that little man.
and
Nana
that's
got the
good.
little tattoo on her chest. That's whose footprints I have. Is my little grandbaby. Mm, love that little man. Well, Fatima, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show today. It has been such an honor having you on. And I want to thank you for what you do because what you do is so important. You are helping to change the way the bridal industry is and make it more welcoming and better for plus size women. And that's so important. And I'm just so grateful for what you do. And I wish that I had had that when I was a bride earlier on in my life. Luckily for my last wedding, the most important wedding I have, I I did have that
Yeah,
on a personal level, and it made a huge difference. So I know that what you are doing is helping to change other women's lives,
thank you.
and I think that's amazing. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Well, no problem. You're welcome.
You guys, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for being a part of my world and letting me share my world, my thoughts, my perspectives, and the perspectives of the amazing people that I connect with into your home. Again, if you do want to support what I'm doing, if you want to keep this going, go over to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. And I'll see you all next time. Oh, it's not working.